Hello and welcome to your SIA training. This is Unit 1. This is the only unit you can do online. There's 4 units for the door supervision, 3 units for security officer and 2 units for the CCTV. I believe this first unit also covers you for close protection officer as well. Unit 1 is in pretty much all of the SIA courses. So as long as you get this one out the way online, you'll be prepared for the rest of your course, whichever course you decide to do. Okay, my name's Will, sorry, I should have said. So what we're going to go through here is the private security industry. So that's the law and the SIA, and also it's with regards to security companies, private security companies. I'm sure you'll be aware, if you work in-house for a company, as a security officer, not a door person, as a guard, you can work anywhere without being trained or SIA licensed. But you only have to be SIA licensed if you work for a security company or you work on a nightclub door or pub. Okay, so we'll go through legislation, that's civil and criminal law, arrest procedures, can we arrest, safe working practices, fire procedures, emergencies, um, communication skills, record keeping, so that's the logs that we keep, terror threats, vulnerable people, and post-incident management. Okay, so we're starting with Unit 1, Module 1 on the private security industry. So what is security? Security is a state or feeling of being safe and secure, but it's also providing services to protect premises, people and their property. The main aims of security is to prevent and detect crime, prevent or reduce loss, waste and damage, monitor and respond to safety risks. So loss could be shoplifting, you prevent that. Damage could be criminal damage or where someone, it could be a member of staff in the retail store where you're working, they could open a product just so they can buy it cheaper at the end of the working day, like a multi-bag of crisp, that type of thing. Anything really. That's just an example. Waste is more to do with energy waste. It's not waste as in rubbish, it's to do with energy waste. So if you're on a night shift anywhere, um, you've just got to be mindful of turning light switches out, making sure taps are turned off in the toilets. One of the benefits of that is security related. If you're turning your lights out, then potential burglars are not going to be able to see in windows, are they? Okay, but the main reason is to save the client or the customer a bit of money. Okay, you're not going to turn out computers or any machinery that's needed to keep the business going overnight, though. Just things like lights, heaters, fans, stuff like that you would turn off. Security can be provided to clients in 3 main ways. So you've got your manned security, which is us. It's not a discriminatory term. Even if it's a woman, it's still called manned security. Okay. And physical security, when we have our classes, I get a lot of people who refer to physical security as being present, a physical security present, but that's not what I'm looking for. That's the same as manned security, a physical security presence, isn't it? Physical security in this training is referring to things like padlocks, gates, barriers, fencing, that type of thing, because it's physical and it's keeping the premises secure, isn't it? Your systems could be your CCTV cameras. It could also be barriers as well, because you're pushing a button to open and close barriers. Also, your fire alarms and your intruder alarms are classed as systems, aren't they? When you're working in retail, there's another type of system called electronic article surveillance, better known as tagging systems. Um, so if there's a tag on clothes or a bottle of spirits and it hasn't been removed and someone's trying to shoplift or leave the door with that, then it's going to trigger the alarm, isn't it? So that's called EAS, electronic article system. The SIA has three aims: the compulsory licensing of ourselves to undertake designated activities within the private security industry, and to recognise the quality service by managing the voluntary approved contractor scheme. So if you get a question on your test paper asking you, what is the SIA's voluntary um, scheme to raise standards within the industry, that's what you're looking for: ACS, approved contractor scheme. We get a lot of people who colour in. It is multiple choice on your tests, on your assessment day, and at the end of this online training. But in our classroom, we get people who colour in the Gold Standards Award. And I never actually mention Gold Standards Award, they're just guessing, I think. But that's what you need to remember it is. It's the approved contractor scheme. What that is, one of the benefits of that is you can work for a security company before you've got your badge. So as long as you've passed your qualification, you've logged into your own SIA account and applied for your badge, you can start straight away working for a company that is ACS approved. And they'll issue you with an LDN cover note. It's called a license dispensation note. That covers you to work in case the SIA come out to inspect your place of work and you haven't got a badge. That note covers you. You can't work for a security company that's not ACS approved until you've got your badge though. So that's one of the main differences. At some point they're trying to introduce business licensing for all regulated security companies. I know how some people might feel about that. Like it's just another way of making money for the SIA, but everyone can have their opinion, I suppose. Okay, the Approved Contractor Scheme, or ACS, is designed to raise standards of the security company. These companies will assist the SIA with developing new opportunities, increase customer confidence in the private security industry, and the SIA's main functions are to protect the public by regulating the industry through licensing, again, raise standards. That's usually a couple of your answers in your multiple choice question, raise standards. Introduce business licensing for all regulated security companies, which I've just mentioned before. Monitor the activities and effectiveness of those who are in the industry. Set and approve standards of conduct, training and supervision within the industry. So every few years, extra training may pop up. This is normally when something happens in the world, like, for example, the George Floyd incident, the MEN Arena bombing in 2017. When things like this happen and there's fatalities, extra training needs to be given to let security operatives and police have more of an awareness of how they deal with people and how they restrain people. Also, the first aid is important. It should have always been mandatory, but it actually became mandatory from April 2021, or you can't renew your SIA license unless you do that with your top-up training. I think a lot part of that was at the MEN Arena, the stewards, guards and door staff, they were in shock, so it's not their fault, but they stood around, didn't know what to do. And a lot of it now is about having the confidence to try and preserve life. If someone was to bleed to death, then at least you can say you've tried to save them. We don't just stand around watching people, do we? So that's why it's important you're all SIA trained and first aid trained now. They're going to keep under review the private security industry and the legislative frameworks or the laws, and also to increase customer confidence. The SIA currently licenses door supervisors, security officers. When you apply for your badge, if you do the full course after this, don't tick key holding. Only tick whichever course you do. So if you do store supervisor, just tick that. You're covered as a key holder as well. If you do security officer, just tick that. You're covered as a key holder as well. Okay, if you tick both, then the SIA or the post office, wherever you pay for your badge, they'll charge you an extra fee for the key holding. And you don't get a badge, you just get a piece of paper saying that you're licensed as a key holder. But I'm just trying to get you to bear in mind, you're already covered as a key holder when you're a security officer or door supervisor. So you don't need to be paying off for that. Cash and valuables in transit operatives, so they're the guys who or girls who go and collect cash from stores and take them to banks, wearing the helmets and the stab-proof vest or bulletproof vests. Your CCTV operators and close protection operatives, known as bodyguards in some countries. There's also another one which is vehicle immobilising. It's not licensable in the UK anymore, except Northern Ireland, and that basically is where companies go around and put clamps on people's car wheels. But they stopped it in the rest of the UK, and I think the council take control of that side now again. You must have an SIA license before you can start work. Not always the case, I've just explained. In some areas you can work straight away with an approved contractor, ACS approved. As long as you've applied for your badge, you can start straight away. So door supervisors are those who carry out security duties in or at licensed premises like pubs and nightclubs. They prevent crime and disorder, keep staff and customers safe. So as a door supervisor, you're responsible for policing the bars and nightclubs. You'll also be covered as a security operative if you get your door badge and do your training in door supervision, or if you just do the security guard badge. You are those who guard premises against unauthorised access or occupation, outbreaks of disorder, theft or damage. And key holding is where a security officer keeps custody of or controls access to any key or similar device for operating, whether mechanically, electronically or otherwise, any lock. And cash and valuables in transit operatives are those who guard property against destruction or theft while using secure transportation of the property in specially manufactured vehicles. And your CCTV operators are those who carry out guarding activities using closed circuit television equipment to either monitor the activities of members of the public in a public or private place, or to identify a particular person. And your close protection operatives or agents are those who guard one or more individual against assaults or injuries that might be suffered as a consequence of the unlawful conduct of others. So normally as a bodyguard or close protection operative, you're assigned to look after one person or a family in some cases. And there it is, what I mentioned before, your vehicle immobilisation. Security operatives who either remove or relocate vehicles, restrict the movement of vehicles using a device, or release vehicles after demanding or collecting a charge, but only licensable by the SIA in Northern Ireland. As I mentioned before, it's still in Northern Ireland that's licensable. Okay, so licensing ensures that security operatives are fit and proper people, properly trained and qualified to do their jobs. The SIA sets standards of conduct, training and supervision within the industry. And to get your SIA license, you'll apply to the SIA yourself. So you'll set up your own SIA account, you'll log in. Once you've passed your qualification, you can apply for your badge online, and then you'll normally visit the post office with your application number after that. So your identity will be verified, so we will check your identity documents. So that'll be one proof of identity with your photo on normally, and two proofs of address dated within 3 months, or if it's a council tax bill, that could be 12 months. We check that out, but the post office also have to check those same documents out when you actually go and get your SIA license processed. So specified training must be undertaken, which is this, and the full qualification if you move on to that after this. Your criminal record will be checked, so a DBS disclosure. It was formerly known as CRB check. A license fee is payable by you or your company or whoever's paying it on your behalf. The price has gone down now from the 6th of April 2023. It now costs £184 for an SIA license, and your second license is going to be half price. So if you do CCTV, a CCTV course after a guard one or a door one, then that badge will be half price, okay? And your SIA license lasts for 3 years before you can renew it. So it's a criminal offence to work without an SIA licence. You can get a fine of up to £5,000 and or up to 6 months in prison. And it's also a criminal offence for the employer to use an unlicensed security operative as well. Normally they get a fine of hundreds of thousands of pounds, depending on how much money the company's making, they'll get a bigger fine. As I say, this is only if you work for a private security company. If you work in-house for a retail store, shop or store, then you don't have to be trained or licensed by the SIA. Security operatives must always conduct themselves professionally, as clients and members of the public expect them to display certain standards of behaviour. What qualities do you think security operatives should possess? Security staff should be professional, polite, alert, approachable, self-disciplined, good communicators, effective problem solvers, honest, fair, observant, smart, cooperative, positive, team players, loyal, reliable, responsible, helpful, tactful, sensitive, and patient. Security operatives must always conduct themselves in strict accordance with the SIA's code of behaviour for their particular role within the industry and according to your own organisation's values and standards that should be outlined in your assignment instructions on the site that you work. It will tell you how your company expects you to behave in the workplace. Community safety initiatives, they're normally dealt with by your local council, and they are to improve the physical security of vulnerable areas, improve the environment, removing the means and opportunities to commit crime, provide funding for extra lighting and CCTV communal radio systems. You might have pub watch and shop watch initiatives in your local city centre. City Watch, it's known as in Liverpool. Warning signs, using CCTV and using yellow and red warning cards. With your pub watch and shop watch initiatives, when security guards on shops are working in the city centre, they normally have a radio link where they're all linked to different stores locally within the city centre. And at night time, it's the same for the door supervisors on the bars and nightclubs. They're normally all on a radio link. This is why you see if there's trouble in a bar, all the door staff go running to help out on another bar because there's been radioed that there's trouble in one of the clubs or bars. And with those radio links, the police are normally linked as well. So they can listen in if there's anyone who needs any help, you radio through and they'll pick up on that as well. But with your pub watch and shop watch initiatives and city watch, they normally monitor the cameras all around your city centre. So it's good that they're on the radio link as well, because they can move the cameras on the area that needs assistance. Aims of crime reduction initiatives. So you're going to try and reduce crime, public disorder, reoffending, antisocial behaviour, substance misuse, vandalism and graffiti. And what I mentioned before, your assignment instructions, these are a set of written guidelines on what needs to be done and how it should be done on that particular site. Complying with these instructions will ensure you stay within the law and at the client's requirements. That being said, it's not always the case. I've read assignment instructions in the past where I found two things in it that were illegal. One of them was a health and safety breach, telling guards something to do, but it would have breached health and safety. And another one was to breach a person's basic human rights once they've been arrested, which we can't do. Obviously, we take the freedom away, but you can't breach all of the human rights. That's not acceptable. So you've got to be able to pick up on these things in your assignment instructions, because people who put assignment instructions together, they sometimes make mistakes. They don't always know the laws. Okay, but where it says there, complying with these instructions will ensure that you stay within the law. I suppose in a way it does make sense, because you won't be liable, because you're just following what your company's rules and guidelines are telling you to do. So you wouldn't be accountable or liable, but the company will. Okay. So the client sits down with the security company management. They put together your confidential operational procedures. Then that becomes your assignment instructions. It gets passed on to you as the security operative, and it becomes your duties. Everything within your assignment instructions is your duty. Your AIs contain details and instructions on duty times, site plans, site risks, locations of high value property, areas of vulnerability, your patrol times and routes. You shouldn't always stick to your patrol times and routes um, that's stated within your assignment instructions. The reason for this is if a burglar or terrorist is monitoring your site and they can see that you're going out on the hour, every hour, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., then they're going to think, well, I can get on site because he's going out again now at 10 a.m. This is why you should never show a pattern of your behaviour or your routine in case you're being watched. So that's one thing I would suggest, is that you don't stick to your patrol times that's stated within your assignment instructions, and that's for the safety and security risk reasons. Access and egress procedures. So access and egress, I don't know why they don't just keep it plain, simple, basic English. It just means entrance and exit. You're controlling who can enter your premises and monitoring those who exit. So access, we control the access who's coming into our place of work. They need to sign in, or they've got a swipe card to let them in. And egress is making sure we know when they've left the building. The reason for that is for fire safety reasons. If there's a fire, you need to know that everyone's gone, don't you? Okay, search procedures, we talk about that, but we also go through that as a practical assessment for the full qualification, and we have to video record all that. Reporting procedures, health and safety issues, your first aid procedures. Before you do your full SIA qualification, you'll need to do the level 3 emergency first aid at work, methods for calling the emergency services, important contact telephone numbers, emergency and evacuation procedures, alarms and surveillance systems, methods of communication relevant, um, your documents as well. You need to make sure you understand the documents that are relevant to your role. Always read your AI, so that's not artificial intelligence, it's assignment instructions. When you start on a new site, keep yourself up to date with the contents. You may need to sign a form confirming that you've read the AIs at the start of each shift. Normally, you only have to sign the back page of your assignment instructions once and date it. But what I would advise is that you don't sign it until you have actually read your assignment instructions. Um, because if you sign something and then you later make a mistake, that could be used against you, where you end up getting disciplined or sacked or dismissed from your job, because you've signed something to say you understand everything within your assignment instructions. So be careful that you don't sign it until you've actually read it. Okay, AIs are confidential documents, so you need to keep them secure. You don't discuss them with people outside of the workplace. Okay? Benefits of using CCTV: can help to prevent crime, reduces incidents, reduce costs and risk by not having to employ additional patrol staff, can provide clear evidence for investigations and be used as evidence in court. What are the legal implications of using CCTV? Your CCTV system must be registered with the Information Commissioner's Office, better known as the ICO. One person must be registered as the responsible and accountable for the system. Signage must be clearly displayed at each entrance point of the premises to the site to state that CCTV is in operation. If it records audio, it should tell the person or the staff or the public that their voice will be recorded as well. Must not record anywhere where public or people are expected to undress, like toilet cubicles or um, front, front footage of urinals. Sorry. Um, I believe nowadays they do put them in female toilets facing the sinks, which is fine. It's not against the law because there's no urinals, is there? Obviously, they couldn't put them in the cubicles, but it's probably to monitor what goes on in the toilets near the sink area. Okay, but in the past they weren't allowed to do that. Now they do. Now they The ICO approval includes the declared time that footage can be retained on the CCTV system before it over-records. Approved list of who can access the CCTV system, known as authorised persons, or with the police they call them data controllers. It's the same thing really. And recordings must be used appropriately. So you shouldn't be posting anything on social media or online because you're going to lose your job for that, aren't you? You've got to stay professional and keep it confidential. Okay, limitations of CCTV. Privacy issues and concerns, vulnerable to damage and vandalism, misuse. So you shouldn't be looking in people's private property, windows, back gardens, the homes, the doorways. Cannot prevent crime. The cost, familiarity with scope of cover and technology vulnerabilities. Okay, so what does the abbreviation SIA stand for? This is going to come up in your assessments as well, and on your final test of this online training. Describe the three main aims of the SIA. We've already gone through that. And identify 5 standards of behaviour expected of a security operative. Okay, so if you can make a note of these questions, go back if you need to, play what we've already covered, and fill in these gaps, these answers in your notes, ready for your test at the end.